one of the things that we have to really begin to change in our approach to ministry, especially we pastors and ministers, is this craze about prophecy. Where is that coming from? I'm shocked. Why is it that every pastor is seeing himself as obliged to give some New Year prophecy? Where is that coming from? Well, when I was growing up back in Africa in the 80s and 70s and 80s, we used to have maybe one or two white garment churches that used to go to the mountain to prophesy for the year, and they used to go and give the word of prophecy. And the evangelicals and the born again people used to look at them and say, these are white garment people, they are the ones who are doing those crazy stuff. Now everybody, even the very prominent ministers, the so-called fathers of faith, they have bought into the craze. I just wonder, what is the amount of pressure, or what is the kind of pressure the evangelical leaders and pastors are finding themselves in, especially in Africa, that is making them to do things that they had once called a blasphemy, an error? What is it? What is that craze? What is that pressure that is so strong that even the strongest of these men of God cannot hold themselves back, but doing the same thing that we used to think that it's only crazy, some charlatans that used to do? I mean, I've not seen any other country, at least in Europe and America. I've never seen a country in Europe and in the Americans and in developed world that is as crazy as giving prophecies for the new year as Nigeria now. It's like all the newspapers are just inundated with some so-called prophecies. And the funny thing is that it's a horse. It's a horse, and I can prove to you that it's a horse, because I did an experiment just yesterday. I took a list of 10 top pastors and the most famous ones, 10 of them, and their prophecies. I compared their prophecies to each other. They just contradicting each other. One is saying this will happen. One is saying that Buhari will win in 2019. Another one is saying no, he's going to lose. Another one is saying this is going to happen. This is going to happen. They are just contradicting each other, and they are saying they are speaking for the same God. He's a horse. He's crazy. He's a fraud. And some of the things that they were even prophesying about, I don't even need to be a believer before I could know those things. I don't even need to be a prophet. I mean, you could go and pick on anybody from the street, any drunkard from the street, and he will be able to give you that kind of prophecy. It's just common sense. Just read newspapers or watch television. You'll be able to do those kind of you become your own prophet. And these men of God, these so-called respected men of God, are buying into this craze of prophecy, chasing after prophecy, trying to impress people or trying to gather crowd just by giving some prophecy. Why at the end of the year? Is God dump before January? So God only speaks one time in it. Is it dump and deaf and dump? That his mouth only opens once a year, like the lame at the pool of Bethesda, that only once a year you can get into that place. If you don't make it on time, you are there to be there for 38 years. Is that what is happening right now? Is that the kind of God that we serve? Is that the kind of God that we serve? Is that the kind of God that we serve? That only speaks once a year alone? Do you know that actually in the spirit realm, for God and to God, there's really no difference? It is we that have made up the calendar. We are the ones that know the difference between January and December. In fact, in Israel now, their calendar is totally different. So this January that we are celebrating, this new year that we are celebrating, do you know they are not celebrating in Israel? That is the land of Jesus. Their own new year is different. It was in September actually. Their own new year was in September, and our own is in January. And in Ethiopia, their own I think is it when is it in Ethiopia? Is it May or March? So every country have their own new year. And you want to tell me that no, God just woke up, so God want to give you prophecy for the new year as if it's universal. Why couldn't God be giving that anytime, any day? One day to God is like 1,000 years, and 1,000 years is like one day. So there is no demarcation. We are the ones that have put the demarcation for our own convenience. And also in the spirit realm, there is no time. There's even no time at all. There's no past, there's no present, there's no future in the spirit realm. So to tell me that God is caged himself, that he's only giving New Year prophecies, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Huh? I want to talk to somebody. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Can you believe that? This is crazy. And everybody else is buying into it. And some people even are taking them serious. But thank God for our journalists. I like them. I just decided not to publish it on my side this time, because I published it last year and they almost killed me for it. But I'm not the one who did it. Some journalists went and did research of the prophecy of every year they do it. I saw one last year, but this year they said, who are the people who gave the prophecy for last year, 2015? And then all the quotations and all the prophecy that they gave that never came to pass, they put all their pictures there. And they say all the false prophecy that didn't come to pass last year. That was in the internet. You can go look, you'll find it. All these people, they are coming with fresh ones. People are just gullible, and people cannot even think and say, if you have said that and that the other day, I didn't come to pass. Every year you're coming with a new one. Who do you think you are? Who are you dealing with? You think we are all fools? But in Nigeria, when I put those prophecies that didn't come to pass, when I put them on my page, their members and their adherents started attacking me as if I'm the one who wrote it. I'm not the one who wrote it. I just copied it. I just shared it. And they started saying, oh wow, who are you to talk against other men of God? You are putting other men of God down. But if you don't expose people, if you don't tell the truth in that sense, this one is glamorous. This is not like saying, your personal sin. This is not a personal life, because they came in the public. They went to the newspapers. And they went to the newspapers and published the so-called word of the Lord that will come to pass if they are men of God. If I'm real men of God, it must come to pass this year. It didn't come to pass. So if we see such a mess on a national level, sometimes on the global scale, these prophecies go everywhere and they're just an open sore, an open disgrace. We must address it. So this is one of the reasons why I've compiled 15 reasons why our messages must change. And one of the emphasis on our pulpit that must change is this craze about New Year prophecy. It's a craze. And why the fathers of faith, the so-called fathers of faith, are following the trend is what I cannot get. I know this father. I used to know these fathers of faith 10 years ago, 20 years ago. They never used to do this. 30 years ago, at least when I was in Nigeria 30 years ago, they were never doing these things. This is like the kind of situation when, Paul says, who has bewitched you, you Galatians? He actually says, you foolish Galatians. No, it's a disgrace. It's a disgrace. So that is one reason why we must change our messages.